Welcome to the bold analysis, ladies and gentlemen. Kindly subscribe mapema, because I want us to have a conversation. It's either the president is so much sure about a loyalty, or cartels have overtaken government and are just looking for slightest tenders, or we have some idle money lying in State House. Today, the Nation team did an explosive story telling the country that the president is planning to spend a whopping 1.2 billion Kenyan shillings to build a church in State House. And 1.2 billion Kenyan shillings. I can tell you the revelation, that story, I don't know, it has captured State House by surprise. Because number one, who leaked the story? And I'm telling you, I want to show you, I want us to get the gist of that story. I told you this story has been there, but I didn't want to overreact. Now, today, what the president is telling the president has shocked the country. This is what Nation reported, that the president is going to spend, the design of the church is an 8,000 capacity cathedral built at 1.5 and 1.2 billion. State House asked to respond, declined to respond to queries, and of course only asking who leaked that information to the media. He had mentioned about this some time back, that he's also planning to build a church. The design of the church is big. Inside the church, there are 4 rows of the main sanctuary sitting with a capacity of up to 8,000 worshippers. There are also multiple entry points, storage rooms, toilets, and circulation corridors. The vertical structure design has 2 main levels, including the main sanctuary floor and upper 2 seating, gallery, and there are also individual rooms. Analysts say that this represents a physical expression of president's political theology. Today, after Nation leaked that story, the president is, I want to say shamelessly or courageously or boldly, approaching the citizens of Republic of Kenya, and according to him, he's using his own money, and those who are questioning why he's building a church in State House are actually certain.
Mimi ni mtu naamini Mungu, na I have no apologies to make. Kwa kujenga kanisa, I have no apology. Mnanielewa? Na hakuna mtu nitaomba msamaha. Kwa kujenga kanisa, tutajenga kanisa ya Mungu. Shetani akasirike, afanye ile anataka. Ni mnanielewa? Naambiwa hata kwa magazeti leo ati kuna mtu anasema ati mimi najenga kanisa hapa State House. Ni kweli, mimi najenga kanisa hapa State House. Ni mnanielewa? Hapa State House nilikuja nikakuta kanisa ya mabati. Kanisa ya mabati inatoshana na State House, hata kwa maoni yenu. So, nasijengi na pesa ya serikali, mimi najenga na pesa yangu. Hapa nitakuja kuwapeleka siku nyingine twende tuombe huko. So, nilikuta mimi sijaanzisha kanisa State House, nilikuta kanisa ikiweko. Shida tu ilikuwa ya mabati. Sasa nimeamua nijenge kanisa inatoshana na State House. Na haitagharimu serikali ya Kenya peni moja. Nitajenga na pesa zangu, kwa sababu kanisa ya Mungu ni mahali ambapo panatoshana na heshima.
Iko shida mahali. Iko shida mahali. Public land, the State House is a property that belongs to the people of Kenya. So the president is a tenant. After every 5 years, Kenyans do go to the ballot to decide as to whether they are retaining the sitting president or they are going to change. The things the president have said there: number one, that State House has a church which is already a Mbadi structure. Morning, I have spoke, and I've spoken with two people that worked in State House when Uhuru Kenyatta was a president. And these are the two confirmations that, Kevin, there is no Mbadi structure in State House. Do you want to believe, even before we look at that, do we want to believe that there is a Mbadi structure in State House? And so, the president is right to tell us that he's actually building it there. And let me show you, if you think it's a joke, hey, look at this frame one here. Gordon Opio, government blogger, is sharing this photo one, is saying, look at the condition of churches in State House. Shame that we have Mbadi structures in the highest office in Kenya. Baba Moi had planned to build a modern church place of worship, but when Kibaki took place, the idea was shelved and a bar was built. When Uhuru took over, he expanded the bar 10 times in order to accommodate 200 drinking buddies. At that time, there was total silence. Now President Ruto decides to honor God by putting up a respectable place of worship, and hell breaks loose. And through the fake media, they hyped the figures just to create a scandal where there is none. Kanisa lazima ijengwe. Look at frame number one. According to Gordon Opio, this is a structure in State House. I've never gone to State House. Probably one day I'll ever get there. But even if you check the background around that place, there is no confirmation that that is indeed a State House. But what has then shocked me is this photo too. If you check this frame too, I don't know whether they even forgot. In fact, they went and took a photo of a church somewhere. The church that belongs to State House is apparently National State House International Chapel. And you can see imewekwa hapo imewekwa na picha ya watu hapo wawili ambao some pastor. This church does not have pastor, picture ya pastor na bibi yake hapo. And we are being told, if you check this structure, it looks a deserted structure. You cannot even tell when last this structure was used. Even if you check this one, you cannot tell this structure was used. What is happening is that no one has evidence about this. So two things are involved, or rather two factors at stake at the moment. The president saying that he's spending his own money to build a church. Very questionable. I'm looking at some reactions here. As per the Article 8 of the Constitution, the state is prohibited from adopting or endorsing any religion. Public institutions, including the presidency, are not in any way seen to favor or institutionalize a certain religious system. Constitutional lawyer Kibe Mugai saying, believes construction of a religious structure violates Article 8 of the Constitution, which provides secularity, with office of the president having the highest honor in the land. Mungai added that State House is not just public land, it's protected land reserved strictly for the functions of the presidency. A church is by definition just putting matters there. I got another legal interpretation about this, and I would want us to look at it somewhere here. I don't know whether you're going to have it. There is a screenshot here, and yes, Kenyans. Yes. Kenyans are saying that the president's move to build a church there is not welcome. Guys, number one, it is not wrong to build a church. And me, I'm taking observation on how the president is reacting over this question. No one have said that don't build a church. In fact, the country is just asking questions. They're questions that are supposed to be answered. And number one is the question of funding. By president telling us that he's using public money, that he's using his own money to build a church for State House. So when he leaves power, will the church remain, or is State House a private property? And what is the belief, or what is the guarantee that the public will actually take the notion that the president is using his money to build a church? Indeed, by saying I'm using my money, it is a strategy to evade accountability. Because he knows that the country are asking questions. The military lunch has been scrapped. Edu Afia for school-going students was stalled. Linda Mama was stopped. You look at, which other one? You look at, the other day KCSE funding was almost being stopped. And then the president says he's using a whopping 1.2 billion to build a church. Is it true? It is not true. The second, that's the first question on funding. Number two, being that it is built on public land, because I want to believe State House is public land, why is the public not involved in such a decision? Because it is not, I want to believe, probably there is a tradition for State House to have church. There's no problem. That can be there. But you need to ask yourself a simple question. You need to ask yourself a simple question. Then why don't you just involve the public and tell them we are going to do this and that on the public land? The president is making things more difficult for himself even to be defended. And I just ask, how much money does the president have? Because I just saw Nani was in Taita Taveta, Kindiki, and was by women saying two terms, women were just receiving millions, 3 million by just saying 2 terms. It is an act of panic. Now, I've seen a report and the Nation team that they're really pursuing how this story happened. And of course, there have been a lot of problems on budget for status, innovation, and public expenditure of money. And the auditing has been a problem. I want to say, this is the problem that is happening. There are people who are around the president. I want to believe it is not just his personal decision that he's going to make. There are other players involved. The president's team in State House has activated a mode called "It's Our Time to Eat." So someone will come up with something just to get money. Let's assume the State House needs a church. Do you think they need an 8,000 capacity church? Because then who are supposed to be users of that church? Ordinarily, if it is State House staff, they have different churches on Sundays, so they will go there. I don't know if the State House has a staff of 8,000 people working there. I doubt if there are 8,000 people working there. So this church will be used when the president is hosting church leaders, which is not a daily thing. Instead of that, that money can actually build the police station in Homa Bay. Several police stations that was burnt in Homa Bay was actually a Mbadi structure. At the airport, GSU officers working at JKA are actually protesting, complaining about small allowance that is not commensurate to the risk of the work they do at the JKA. The teachers have issued a strike notice in the next 2 weeks about a CBA because of the standoff between the teachers and the Ministry of Education. And then you face the country and tell the country, I'm building a church in State House, I'm going to use my money. There are things, people that have just activated it. Then the second issue is this. The president is just making provocative moves to distract the public and always make people talk about him. In fact, the objective is to bring a conversation about Ruto and the church. When you ask, remember we already being told Satan, Shetani atasema kitu nataka. We're already being told that. Why? Because anataka kuleta ile kitu ya mimi napenda Mungu, nyinyi mpendi Mungu, so ndo maana mnapinga, ndo maana mnauliza maswali. By the way, we are not against building a church, we're just asking for accountability. And that is the problem, accountability. It's not bad to build a church in State House, but because State House is a public property, it is just responsible and constitutionally right to tell the people how that is being affected. I don't really feel that is too much to ask for, even if you want to bring the conversation about church. Guys, I don't know what you think. Sometimes inakuanga ngumu sana, but that is it. Thank you.